before I start, I would like to say a big thank you. And I know that this seminar today was made able because two people were working, Dr. Franke as the cultural secretary of the culture area and Professor Dr. Vogt. So we in Upper Lusatia, we are meeting here with Dr. Professor Vogt, who is like the father of this law. And also I would like to thank everyone who came here and represent other culture areas. Joachim Mühle, who also was working in this culture area for several years, and Dr. Franke had this idea to combine this jubilee with also saying goodbye to Mr. Vogt. I'm not only head of the Görlitz municipality, but I'm also part of the Saxon culture area. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, Saxony has a very thick culture area because we spend more per head per square kilometer than any other areas. So this is all connected to this law of Saxon Culture Areas Act. And this law supports our culture and our institutions. So this is the question, is this law able to support all these institutions? And as I know, a lot of other municipalities envy us for this law we have, because this law really supports our culture. And we know that also the Free State of Saxony supports it very much and helps out this area. So when we look at these cultural areas, we see that it is very important, especially in these times. Now, I am of the opinion that this law is one result of our revolution in 1889, and it is a foundation for our society. So this means 30 years later it is so important as it has been before. Nothing in this matter has changed. So while preparing this speech, I looked up what happened in 1994. And in 94, we see that the Kremlin signed a treaty, so Yeltsin and Clinton, they signed a treaty about atomic warfare, and also Itzhak Rabin, Shimon Peres were awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace in the Middle East. Why do I talk about these three topics? I think you all know that 30 years later now, the world has really changed a lot, and now we are in a totally different state and in a different reality. So what I'm telling you now, it seems kind of surreal, but I think it's very important to know that our world always is fragile, and extreme powers are fighting for the power in the world. So this makes culture more important than ever. Also, cultural education and education. And with this, I mean all the cultural institutions who are having a big impact on our identity. Culture in this area not only in the cities, but in this rural area is very important because it makes our life more attractive and also connects people and makes them curious and creative. And it connects them and helps them to also become volunteers and be part of their country and region. So this cultural heritage we now take over from our ancestor, and we are supposed to take care of our children, means that we need to understand and to show this richness of our culture. It is very important for me that young people, children and teenagers find their way into those cultural institutions. And as we have heard, the president of the Sachsen Landtag talked about the libraries. And for me, libraries are not only a place where one can get literature, but also a meeting place. And it means it is very important that we are present everywhere with these cultural institutions like libraries. This culture in our land grew in these 30 years, and although financial situation gets worse and worse, we have to support our culture, and I'm looking here at our mayors. And now we kind of live in a time of transition. The stability we always experience in Europe, it was very stable, but you all remember the COVID pandemic. And also here in Appalachia, we had some changes because of the structural change, getting out of the coal industry. And also we have demographical changes and migration. So there's a lot of different topics going on, and we have to take them very serious. But on this communal level, we have to be creative and develop it more. In 1990 and 1994, of course, it wasn't that easy. I know that, because when we look at the treaty, it said in 1990, it said that there was supposed to be funding for culture, and cultural institutions were supposed to be financed through the Länder, so this is a huge task for us because of inflation, and we have a lot of tasks we have to take care of on this communal municipality level, but it makes us sticking to the Saxon Cultural Areas Act even more important, because we have to stabilize our cultural areas and this diversity. We have to keep diversity. What are the big tasks for the future? Of course, well, the world is changing all the time, and everyone has to find new ways to deal with new problems. Of course, this is also a good process because it leads to innovation, to new ideas, and also partners may get closer to each other, partners from culture, economics, and education. And I think it's also important that the quality of our educational and cultural offers is high, and of course they also have a social impact on the people living here. Maybe I would like to talk about some aspects in detail. we need to talk about financials, because financials on the communal level are always connected to the people living here and the earnings they make. Today, we have less percent of money we had a few years ago. So it's very hard for me and very strange also to work with less money, and that is why especially culture needs some extra support. And if it cannot come from the state level, the communal level, the municipalities have to have the income to support culture. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. So now I'm talking to our Saxon government, which is listening online. This is also their task. Also, of course, we see some changes how people perceive and connect to culture, because now, for example, we are streaming into the whole world and people can take part in this event now. But in 1994, we did not have this. So this is a new thing, but it's also a new challenge for us, the digitalization, and we have to improve our offers so they will reach the people. Also, demographic changes are also huge challenges for us in this region, and this means that we have to change our offers to implement different generations. And of course, we know that people changed their way they spend their free time. We can travel where we want to. We live in a peaceful country. So also we need to be aware that in the cultural field, we have to be more flexible, more innovative, and have to structure our offers like this, because people are changing and their habits are changing. There are also challenges for society. We have social inequalities. We have cultural diversity. We need to support, for example, the libraries to be and become a place of a dialogue and meeting, and for them to take over some social tasks. And this is also the task of these institutions who are funded by public funding. And the last point I would like to address is the internationalization. I think this is a really good topic here, because we have a lot of guests today from Africa and other continents here. We need to know that we have to work on connection, on international connection and cultural exchanges, and connect them with cultural identity. All these challenges, but let's maybe talk about our perspectives. Here in Upper Lusatia, we have some cultural strategies, and we need to work on them, develop them. In 2011, we had the first phase of also involving the citizens into this process, and we can see that these opinions of the citizens matter in the rules, in the law, but we also know that a lot of cultural institutions apply for these grants and there's not enough money. So we need to prioritize, and we do it now with our experts groups in the convent of Saxon cultural areas to support our cultural projects and institutions. how can we deal with all the extra costs we experience because of inflation? So I think we need to acknowledge that we want to keep all the different areas of culture in our law. And we have the law of the Cultural Act. The Cultural Act supports cultural institutions realizing their tasks and in coordination of them. Important in this law is that they are regional and they take over regional tasks. So this also means that it has some model character for some forms of organization and also is open for innovation. So this is the challenge we are facing. And we always have to keep discussing about this. What is the communal task? What is like the voluntary part? Because we have this financial lack. So we have to prioritize and we need to have some new criteria to prioritize. So this is a process, and as the head of the Görlitz municipality, I'm not the boss of culture, but I rely on the experts who are working in the groups. So all my colleagues will, I hope, support this, that we are in discussions and we have this challenge with the prioritization. So sometimes in the future, or even more than in the past, we will have to deny some applications. We want to see quality projects, but we also want projects to happen in all the areas of our regions. And yeah, of course, this is the challenge to decide who gets the funding. Now I would like to come to the end of my speech. We have some insecure times. We will be able to vote for the European Parliament and also for the Sachsen Landtag. And that's why a lot of people feel insecure, and also the cultural policies of Saxony are maybe not so safe anymore. And this is very important that this Saxon Cultural Areas Act, after 30 years of implementation, will be evaluated, and next fall we will have a report about this evaluation of this law. I hope we will have a stable Saxon government. I hope a lot of people will cast their vote, and I hope that the Saxon government will support also these regional areas. I would like to thank you, and I hope that this seminar today, this conference today, will bring more discussions for our regional Cultural Areas Act, but also for whole of Saxony. And I'm very happy for Mr. Vogt that we can celebrate two jubilees, also saying goodbye to Mr. Vogt, who is finishing his university career. And I would like to finish with the phrase of Thomas Mann, who said that culture is developing all the time. Thank you so much. And I wish everyone a great conference. And I would like to give you this present. It's an intercultural product. It's the first German-Polish wine who was uh, So it's a cuvée, of course, because it's wine from Zielona Góra and Meissen, who came together in Görlitz last year. So I think maybe this is a really good present for you because you're such an intercultural man. And I hope you will enjoy it when you will be philosophizing about the future of culture in Saxony on a nice summer evening. I thank you so much for all the work you did and also what you did for the culture area Oberlausitz-Niederschlesien.